how's it going, folks? So, I was recommending a rifle to a group of friends, and I also recommended a website that they can go to purchase this rifle from, as opposed to going to a gun store in Texas and purchasing it just straight from the dealer, if you can find one of this model. And they would spend significantly less money, like $600 less. Well, a friend of mine, and I don't want to say that this person is unknowledgeable. In fact, this person is actually knowledgeable as well. He's a veteran like I am. He owns his own firearms like I do. He's into shooting like I am. But when I gave the recommendation to some of our other friends and gave him the link to that website, he responded with, very few people need a $2,000 rifle. They need an $800 rifle and $1,200 of training. Now, those of you in the gun community probably recognize some variation of that meme, of that statement, especially if you're on AR forums. Now, I have a few problems with that particular meme. With that being said, I want to address these problems, because these problems mainly are that this particular meme makes a few assumptions that are quite frankly baseless. The very first assumption is that the people who spend the money on the high-end rifle never going to take it out to shoot it, never going to do any sort of training with it whatsoever. Yet the guys who spent $800 and got the budget AR-15, I shouldn't say budget, because the AR-15 he was recommending was actually used by many police departments. It's service grade, and what I'm recommending is something a little bit better, obviously. But you're telling me that you're going to go spend $2,000 on an AR-15 and then never shoot it? Just let it sit in the closet and collect dust? Come on. So that's the first baseless assumption. Second baseless assumption is that, well, the people who recommend the high-end stuff are doing so as saying, if you get the high-end stuff, you don't have to train on it. Not true. In fact, I hold the opposite theory on this one. I think that if you're buying something, be it for home defense or something like that, yes, you should put some money into it. And the more you shoot it, the more expensive the rifle probably should be. Or if this is like saving up for like a collapse of society or some shit like that, you probably want to think a little bit more into the model you get, and you probably want something a bit better. Whereas if you don't really want to shoot it all that much, and you just want an AR-15 just to have an AR-15, or you want something that you're going to pop off a few rounds at the range with, or you don't plan on doing any training with it at all, go ahead and buy the cheaper stuff. But, the more reasons you have for owning an AR-15, it probably means there is more money put into that AR-15. So yeah, if you think you need an AR-15 for home defense, okay, there's a certain amount of money you should probably look to put into that AR-15. Not just the equipment itself, but in training. And you should probably consider getting something a little bit better than the budget grade AR-15. In fact, this is where I would say, if it's just solely for home defense, yeah, go with the $800 AR-15. Go with the service grade AR-15. Now, If it's something you plan on using for home defense, shooting at the range, shooting a lot with your buddies, taking with you camping, things of that nature, you probably do want to put more money into it. You want something more reliable, more durable, and things of that nature. Which brings me into my third assumption that I seem to get from this particular meme, and that is that $800 AR-15 is just as good and just as capable as that $2,000 AR-15. It's not. Trust me. And I'm actually going to show the very AR-15, the very model of rifle I recommended to my friends. Some AR-15 purists are going to say because it's short stroke piston, it's not a real AR-15. But this model is the P415 Edge. So, with it being said, how many $800 AR-15s do you know that have this oversized heatsink nut on them? I can't think of any. In fact, I can't think of any other model rifle that has something like this on it. How many $800 AR-15s have the adjustable gas block? How many $800 AR-15s have the nitride heat-treated barrel? How many $800 AR-15s boast that if your shooting skills are good enough and you're using the right ammunition, you can get MOA and sub-MOA precision out of them? I can't think of many $800 AR-15s that can boast that. How many $800 AR-15s have fully ambidextrous fire controls and magazine releases? What about bolt releases? I can't think of any. And by the way, I'll show you what I mean with this next feature too. How many $800 AR-15s have a bolt hold open switch right in front of the trigger well, so you don't have to remove your hand from your firing hand from its proper position to lock the bolt, like so. Okay, now with pretty much every AR-15, you have the bolt release right here. And this would include obviously the $800 ones. But how many $800 AR-15s have the bolt release switch right here? So where you don't need, you can already have your rifle in the low ready, aimed, or anything like that. Send the bolt home. I don't know of any $800 AR-15 that quite has that capability. I mean, and if it comes to actually really having to put a bunch of rounds through your AR-15, I guarantee you this AR-15, this P415 Edge, is going to keep going long after those $800 AR-15s have already broke. I mean, like physically broke. Either the gas tube melted, the gas block blew out, or something of that nature. Rifle's going to be completely inoperable, but this one's going to keep going. So with that being said, no, the $800 AR-15 is not the same thing as the $2,000 AR-15. I'm sorry to bust your bubbles on this one. Now, so those are my main complaints about that meme. Now, with this being said, obviously, if you can't afford a $2,000 AR-15 and you need to budget your money, that's fine. At the end of the day, my theory is that, it's better to have the cheap gun than not. But if you have the opportunity it's better to save up and buy the better quality gun. Than it is to simply buy the cheap gun right away, and then later on when you have more money in your bank account, but not enough to buy the high end rifle, except if you not bought the lower end rifle. Well, there's where you're going to kind of kick yourself, I think. And I say this from experience. You know, um, I've been buying firearms for quite some time, and yes, I've bought cheap firearms in the past, only to see a more expensive firearm that I really would have preferred to be there, and realized if I'd not spent the money on the cheap firearm, I could have bought the more expensive firearm. And yes, there is a difference in quality. So, yeah, this comes from my experience. I mean, and it's not just firearms either, it's optics. You know, and by the way, if you're a serious firearms enthusiast, you know, the odds are at one point in your life you've made the mistake of buying the budget optics and realized that, hey, if you hadn't bought the budget optics, you wouldn't have had so many of those break on you, and you could have bought some higher quality optics that were going to be far less likely to break on you and were going to be of better quality. So, with that being said, I'm going to add one last thing to this. Because, on some of my videos, it has been brought up to me, and I know it hadn't been brought up in a while, but it's been brought up to me in the past about audio, poor quality video, and stuff like that. So, my question to you guys is, would you prefer me not publish a video except once every year, and it be more of a high-end video, or would you rather me stick with this video and focus on this format here, so I can speak to you more directly, and it's easier to do this way? Or perhaps maybe I can continue to do videos like this when I choose, and then once every blue moon just do a much more higher quality video on something that I think is a little bit more pertinent to do the higher quality video on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Y'all take it easy out there and have a great day.